All right, so this side I typically read for you guys, for you Sagittarians, but feel free to go into the opposite side here if it doesn't. But we're going to start off here with the first two cards, which indicate to us the mind plane, which is the mentality or the way both parties think of this relationship. All right, what their thoughts are when they go into it. Oof, okay, two different stuff going on here. All right. This is the body. This is how you represent yourself, or the other person represents themselves in regards to the relationship or how you guys see each other. The spiritual plane gives us a bit of background as to why everyone's displaying themselves, the way they display themselves, as well as think the way they think. This is the card that tells us of how or why you guys have connected, what brought you two together. And this is the challenge that you both face together. Strength. Self-control? Now the star is the underlying energy for this reading. So a new beginning. And success. Happiness. Recognizing the work that you've been putting in. Alright, fam. Let's get into it, right? So... We already looked at this reading. We already saw what's going on. We already see that there is a new beginning here. Potential for great happiness. We got that star coming into this. So manifestation is one of the key things for this reading. You all are manifesting. Y'all putting a lot of effort into this relationship. And I feel like for a lot of you guys, you do see that there is... there's obviously an aspiration or there's some sort of goal that you guys are trying to achieve. So you're doing the best that you can with it, and I feel like the other person is too, considering this is a soulmate relationship. Now, please remember that the soulmate relationships don't have to be just spouses, girlfriends, boyfriends, whatever. They can be friends, family, co-workers, strangers, anybody. So please apply the soulmate part to the person that is truly your soulmate, that resonates with that vibration for you, okay? And only you can decide that. Now, going into this now, you, Sag, or the other person, because, I'm going to just say you or the other person, because this is the side I read for you all by default, but you guys can feel free to go into the other side, like I said. Now, the the mental portion of this relationship for this person here is the hangman. This person is seeing stagnancy and no growth, or perhaps they need to see the situation from a different perspective. I think they're trying to understand the person's point of view, the other person's point of view. Usually, when I see the hangman here with this kind of reading, I do get the vibe that this person's trying to get what this person's thinking, trying to get and understand what this person is trying to, what this person's intentions are and why. Because I feel like they are, they're coming from a place where, they're having to readjust their way of life, readjust their way of thinking, readjust their whole everything, because yes, they are starting something new, and this is, in order to start something new, they have to kind of have a different mindset and not the old one. Okay. Now, the hangman, like I said, could be that this person's, taking a look at someone else's point of view, seeing something from a different angle, or they recognize that there's something that they have to surrender to. There's a different perspective that honestly will not push them forward until they accept this new perspective. This person could see or think of this relationship thinking of unmovement, not moving, not making any progress. But it always comes back to the point of view. Why? Because their perspective is what's keeping them from being able to see what they need to see in order to move forward. Right? Because the way they're thinking, the way they're moving, with the way they have their mindset already set up, it worked for that time when it was needed, but this time is different. This is a brand new beginning. This is starting completely fresh. And they have to come from it from a fresh perspective rather than an old one, because the old one isn't giving them the results. Now, with the other side here, they have the Seven of Wands. So this person is defensive. They're protective, though. That's a defensive sort of, this is a defensive, protective sort of energy. I kind of feel like this person isn't necessarily defensive of themselves. I think they're defensive of the relationship. Right? They feel like this relationship is theirs. This is something that they are trying their best to keep, not keep up, but like make sure and maintain, right? Because they have so much pride behind this. They love what they love. They have a lot of passion toward it. So they don't want this to be, they want to protect it. They want to protect it. Now, it makes sense here, too, with why they're presenting themselves with the moon. They could be showing themselves to be very emotional. And usually the moon is not necessarily an emotional card. This is a card for Cancer. So if you're dealing with a Cancer, guys, this could be your boo here. But hey, the signs only loan the energies to the cards. Like you could also be seeing it in Aquarius here, or a Leo, or a Taurus, or a Scorpio. It all depends. But my point of it, this whole thing is that this person may be seeming like they're dealing with a lot of insecurities and dealing with a lot of things in the dark. They're having to kind of go with the flow and trust their intuition with things. And that's the hard part, right? Kind of tapping into an area of the unknown. And a lot of this, the moon can also, like I said, can indicate going through a period where you're having to conquer fears and insecurities, going through a period where, you're uncertain of certain things because of how you see life and how you guys are, or how this person is regarding their approach to life. Because they're coming from it from a very defensive angle. So of course they're coming from a place, if they're defensive of it, they're trying to protect it, it can a lot of times can indicate that they have some sort of insecurities about either themselves, but how the relationship is going, and they can't predict what can happen. They can only just kind of work with it day by day and slowly prove to themselves that what they are seeing, what they experience, and what's going on up top, and what they have insecurities about isn't real, isn't something that's going to deter, isn't really the end all be all for this relationship, or prove to them a different, to prove to them something different. Now the other person here, like the ace, has the Ace of Swords. This is the person with the Hangman mindset. So family, this person here, like I said, is seeing the situation from a different perspective, and they're literally working with. I think they're learning a new way of communicating, learning how to work together, trying to grasp this new beginning. Right? They're facing it first and foremost. So it's interesting here how the moon doesn't show clarity of the situation. It actually shows how things could be obscured, especially when things are not really seen clearly. And of course, if it's seen from an obscured light, or a light that's not really showing of all things, right? Going through a period of darkness, interacting with insecurities, facing your fears, kind of deal. But the Ace of Swords is the clarity card. There's clarity. It's clarity through the truth. Right, so they're realizing some things through this new perspective, and it's becoming more clear to them because they're taking themselves out of the situation. They're releasing whatever their ego was that was holding on to the old perspective and seeing it from another perspective. Virtually, this is you guys, right? This could be, by default, this area is you, but again, this could be the other person. So the Ace of Swords person here, like this person, pretty much is like trying to understand and learn how to adapt to this new world that they're in, to kind of get a handle on what needs to change about their perspective, so that way they can start making progress moving forward. Because how they've been thinking and how they've been seeing the world are two different things, and they're realizing that the different way that they're seeing the world is definitely bringing in some results. They're learning. I see this person is definitely learning. And it brings us back to the Page of Pentacles here, that obviously shows us of what brought you two together, right? So the Page of Pentacles is an offer of something stable, something that can indicate commitment, that can talk about long-term situations, something that will last longer than, say, the Page of Wands, which just talks about having a good time. But I feel like with the Page of Pentacles here, this is about what brought you two together was an offer of stability and commitment, but the dedication towards working on things that were not very exciting or fun to work on at the time, but your diligence and perseverance through it is what resulted in this new beginning. So whatever you guys have been doing with each other in this relationship to make it, to get to this place where it is, kudos, because it does take a lot of work, especially if it's boring as hell. But that said, right, looking at the person, you, Sag, or the other person here with the Hangman, approaching the situation from a different perspective and trying to see things from a different perspective. The reason why is because they're closing one door and they're leaving and they're opening a new one. This is usually a very good card. This is a card of happiness, and it's a happily ever after card kind of too, but this is more of like Saturn giving you a gift, because this is a card for Saturn here, the planet Saturn. And he's the Saturn. Saturn is the planet of karma. And if you do a good job, if you put in the work, if you change and you do the things that are needed from you to do from Saturn, you usually will be left gifts, right? And that gift can be a new house, a new relationship, a new life, a new anything. It could be, a restoration of something. It doesn't have to be anything new. It can be something that you see of great value, right? Which could have been this relationship, this Page of Pentacles. Something of great value entered your life. But obviously, this could have been Saturn's gift to you. It all depends on what you see and what is this, this gift. But ultimately, though, this gift is something that carries through to the other side, right? It's something that will help you move on and tackle the new beginning, right? Because you're ending one phase of the situation, but you're also, you're about to begin anew, but you haven't done any of one of them yet, right? You're not completed one, and you haven't begun one. You're in that small space in time where things are bliss and things are fine and things are adjusting, and you're just like living off the hype or the vibe of completing a cycle. You get what I'm saying? So this situation here with the world coming up, you guys are in a place where you have come so far, completing, or you're done with the situation, but you haven't started something new. You're in a place of bliss. You're in a place of stagnancy anyway, but things are changing, things are shifting, and this new beginning is transitioning you and helping you transition to this new start. Now, the other person is showing the Six of Pentacles. So it looks like they're looking, the reason why they're showing the moon as the body and how they represent themselves, kind of confusing, kind of weird, not really making a lot of sense. But they're also, the Seven of Wands, a bit defensive. Probably, like I said, it could be I feel like this is more for the relationship, but they also could be defensive of themselves because they have the moon that they're facing here. They're facing a lot of old issues, they're facing a lot of fears and stuff. It could have to do with the fact of, balances in their life, right? The Six of Pentacles can indicate too that, that they may, it's interesting with the Six of Pentacles, because Six of Pentacles talks about imbalances, right? And this person may not feel balanced at this moment, and this is probably because they need to face a lot of the insecurities or the things that they've, that's coming up in their present, or coming up right now that they're dealing with, to be able to ask for help, to be able to work on collaborating and working together in the sense of, communicating and discussing what they need, because they may be trying to handle this stuff on their own, and they may be giving of themselves, right? And they may not be, asking themselves, feeling taken advantage of, which doesn't help. Now, it could be, and it can be vice versa. They may not be doing a lot. They may not be putting in their 50% because they're handling a lot of their personal issues right now. But that doesn't mean that the dynamic of the situation should be the way that it is, or it doesn't mean that they have to keep up some sort of balance this way because of the way they are, if that makes sense. All right? Okay. But it looks like this person is having to work on, balancing the situation out, not just for them, but for the relationship and for their well-being, right? And even for you. And that brings us to the challenge, which is the Strength card. The endurance, pushing forward, being brave. And I think I think everybody is having to be brave right now. Everybody's having to have the courage to change the perspective, or to conquer someone's, insecurities, fears, and etc. Right? Everybody's being asked to be strong. But I feel like the biggest thing about strength is actually continuing to push forward, continue to fight, continuing to let the passion, from the lion here in this card, the lion, because the lion represents passion, the woman represents, calm, peace, serenity, perseverance, right? It's pushing through, the inner strength. But I feel like it's letting the passion purge through and or letting the passion be the fuel to continue to contain yourself. Not contain yourself and keep yourself under wraps and not let yourself be, but to, let the passion be what you need to persevere. Whatever you have passion for, let that be your perseverance card. Let that be the energy that you use to continue to fight, to continue to push forward, to continue to go towards, better balances and equal partnerships, right? To work together and feel like you guys are in an even playing field, not feeling like you have to do something else or they have to do something else where you don't feel equal, or seeing something from a different perspective, seeing your partner from a different perspective, seeing, where you can adjust your beliefs and your ideals for you to aspire to something greater than you already are, than you're already at. You know, it's having that bravery to say, I'm going to go ahead and do something differently. And it takes diligence, and it does take a strong person to continue and keep up the good fight. So let's take a look at your Messenger Oracle cards. Alright, and you guys have time to reflect. Wow. And this is about looking within the self, kind of, getting some idea of, where you've come from, what your new truth is, and how you're going to move forward from it. And even if it is facing a lot of your fears, it's, this moon period is asking you to look within yourself to find what is bringing up a lot of these fears, so you can overcome them. It's about conquering the fears when the moon comes up. It's overcoming this, the confusion that that is either around you, that you're dealing with other people, by trusting your intuition, by remembering what your true truth is, right? What your truth is despite the confusion around you, or overcoming your fears. So let's go ahead and take a look at time to reflect here. All right. Have you been rushing along, living from one moment to the next without thinking, without thought or care? Have you failed to notice and acknowledge all that you have achieved and accomplished? Stop. Take a moment to pause, reflect upon all that has happened and all that is happening. See how you have grown. See all you've succeeded in and accomplished. See all you have succeeded in accomplishing. Acknowledge and delight in your journey, and understand how it has played a part in creating the you who lives in the present. Alright, so pretty much it's saying that makes me look back at the hangman person. Like, this is you, Sag, right? But it can be you. It doesn't have to be you, like I said. I'm gonna stop saying it. I'm sure y'all already know. But it speaks the truth with the hangman energy here and the Ace of Swords, right? I think the new perspective is like, stop pushing forward so hard for the future, if that's what's going on, right? Because you're in a good place. The world is saying you're in a really good place. You've succeeded. You've done what needs to be done for this cycle. The new beginning's coming. But the reason why you're not moving right now is because you need to change your perspective. And that change of perspective may be that you have to just take a moment to just breathe for a moment. Or take a moment and recognize how much you've accomplished, because you've come a long way. When the world comes up, you have been through a hell of a cycle. So I think there's right now it's giving yourself a pat on the back. And even though this person here is the same, I feel like the same person here. The Seven of Wands person with the moon and how they're showing that they're confusing and they're facing their fears. This is them having to take a moment and reflect how much they've grown and see that the potential for great happiness is endless. There's no telling what the future has to offer, and there's no need to be defensive, because they've done everything that they need to do to be where they are so they can expand.